Let's talk about how to keep your costs down when filing for an LLC with your Secretary of State. So first of all, don't use a filing service. As simple as that. Usually they're going to start at 49, they're going to go up to 99 on up. It just depends who you hire. And if you hire an attorney, it's going to be even more because they're giving you their personal time and attention. So if you use a filing service, you can expect to pay 49 to 99. Now, I've done another video on this, but there's also free filing services, which are not really free. So you've got to keep that in mind as well. They're going to have a lot of upsells for you, meaning they're going to try to sell you extra stuff beyond what you need or extraneous items that are related to what you're doing filing for an LLC. So you've got to be aware of that also because that's going to add to the bill. So with their extras, they're typically going to have a 2.5 to 3 times markup on what they sell you. They're also going to have a shipping and handling fee, usually. So that's also going to tack onto your bill. Of course, they don't put these things up front. They're down the road as you're checking out and you're adding this stuff to your cart, so you can't see it. And then all of a sudden, what was free or $49 or $99 becomes a lot more. So you've got to keep that in mind. One important thing here is the registered agent. This is where things get really nuanced, and it's something to be very much aware of ahead of time. A registered agent, I recommend that you have a separate registered agent so that you don't have to have your place of business be a registered agent, and you don't have to have your home be a registered agent. So I recommend a commercial registered agent. Now in Texas, a commercial agent could cost you $40 a year, and that's it. It's a yearly fee, and it's $40, and it goes year after year for as long as your LLC is in existence. When you hire these filing services, that might be included in the first year's charge for free. But here's where you've got to be careful. They will make it up on the years subsequent. So year 1 might be for free. So that's great, right? But then year 2 is $99. So if it's $99, you've already paid as much as a lot of registered agents cost for 2 years anyway. So then as soon as those years start piling up, you're going to pay more and more and more, and unnecessarily so. So that's where you really have to be careful with these filing services. They love to give you that first year for free because then you don't even start to contemplate the different costs that might be had from an independent registered agent. So that's something to be aware of, and definitely something to think about. But when I say this 2.5 to 3 times markup, they just roll that in, and if you're going with them, and if you're just going with the flow, you're going to pay a lot more than is necessary. So keep that in mind. Another way to save money is to not get the rush shipping, no expedited shipping. So if you're diligent, planning things ahead of time, then you're going to save some money, because if you get in a hurry to make your business into a company, then you're going to pay more for that rush filing. And in my experience with Texas, the rush filing is not that much faster than the standard filing. Standard filing usually goes ahead and gets done pretty quickly. So maybe you'll take 5 to 10 days, or versus maybe 1 to 2 or 3 days with rush. So that's something where you can save some money. Now, just the registered agent in and of itself. If you go ahead and make yourself the registered agent and have yourself put your home address, one thing here to consider is that your home address will be public record. So that's very important to keep in mind. You can also use, if you have an office, you can also use your office, as long as it's open during standard business hours, at least in Texas. So what most of the time, the Secretary of States will not accept P.O. boxes. Now, I haven't checked all 50 states, but I'm going to assume that most will not allow a P.O. box. The reason why they don't allow P.O. boxes is because they are not operated on normal business hours, and thus you can't be served with documents at normal business hours, which is the whole point of having a registered agent, is so you can be served with legal documents. So that's a really important part of this. If you're going to save money, then you can use yourself, or you can use your residence, or you can use your office. But it's very important to keep in mind that there are trade-offs with that, and when you're listed publicly, then people can send you mail publicly, and people can know exactly where you live or exactly where your office is. And in general, I recommend that most people keep as much as possible private with their public filings, because remember, they are public record, and once they get on public record, especially now when it's online, those records can last forever online. So I recommend a commercial agent. Usually you'll pay about $40 to $50, just depends a year. And to me, that's not bad. Another way to save money is to not get the rush shipping. So if you're going to hire a filing service, then you want to make sure that you have a pay by mail. So you can save money also by going by mail. It's going to be a nominal amount, but there are credit card fees and convenience fees to filing online. So if you file online, you're going to pay a little bit more, but if you file by mail, it's just the amount of the postage. So you can save yourself a few dollars there. Again, now we're back to the add-ons from the filing services. The filing services love to add stuff on. This is where they make their money, is they tack stuff on. No, you don't need a seal, a binder, a corporate certificate, or any of that. You don't need that. It's unnecessary. They'll also tack on a domain name, and here's one way. It's a great way to see how much they inflate their prices. Some will have domain names for $20 or $30 or $35, and you can get one for $10 or less from Namecheap or Namebright.com. So with those types of places, you can save money on your domain name. You don't need to get one while you're using the LLC filing services if you do hire them. So no EIN number retrieval. So that's employer identification number. And when you set up your own company bank account, you're going to need this. What these services will do is they'll say, would you like us to get one for you? We will go through the IRS and get it for you. Well, this is actually one of the easiest and best set up things that the IRS has. It's very easy to get. It's very straightforward, and it takes less than 10 minutes. Maybe 15 at the most. But it's very easy to get, and I really recommend that you do this yourself. You can look up instructions, you can look up YouTube instructions. It's very easy to get. You don't need to pay $29, $39, $49 and on up for them to get you an EIN number. This is definitely something this is a huge money maker for them, because it requires almost no effort. It is so easy to get. So definitely don't you need one, so get one, but don't pay for them to get you one. Another way you can save money with your LLC is don't file it knowing that something will need to be edited in the future, because if you do that, then it's probably to edit those LLC documents that are on file with the Texas Secretary of State. They'll charge you something like $100 to $150 for every time that you make a round of revisions. So when you file it, try to have everything right the first time. Because, for example, let's say you decide later on that you want to change your registered agent. Let's say, for example, that you used one of the filing services and they decide to charge you $199 per year for a registered agent after that first free year. Let's just say that. So you're like, I don't want to pay $199 a year. I see this other commercial agent that's doing it for $50. Well, I'm going to go change the registered agent on my LLC filing documents. Well, to edit that and get that change in, you're going to have to pay a fee to go in and edit that with the state. So you want to get as much as possible. Now, if you have to edit your document later, you have to edit. There's no way around it. But as much as possible, you want to make sure that you get everything right the first time. So that's a great way to save money, and a lot of people miss out on that because they're in a hurry. They want to get their LLC on file with the state, and then they go and they miss out on that. So this is a good opportunity to save yourself a lot of money. And again, people make the mistake of using their home as a registered agent, and they decide later that they don't want that. And then so if you do that, then later on you've got to go change it. So again, you want to think this through and try to get it right the first time, because these edits really add up. And there's no way around this edit fee. This is the state fee, so you're not getting around that. Before you file, you may also but I definitely recommend that you check that your name is available with the Secretary of State. So for example, let's say your business's name is Leo's Gardening and you want to be Leo's Gardening LLC. Before you file your documents, make sure that Leo's Gardening LLC is able to be registered with the state. Sometimes the state will reject your name request. I've actually tried this, and I've had a name that I wanted. It was a very broad and generic name, and I got it rejected. And they said that I had to get approval from someone else that was using a similar name. So it's very important. People's names do get rejected. So I recommend that you check your name first. This is more going to save you time, because you're likely you won't have to. It'll just save you a little time in postage and effort, as if you went ahead and filed your documents with the Secretary of State and then you had to go get them back and then refile them. It's usually just that processing fee, but it will save you some time. So just ahead of time, I recommend it anyways, but it'll save you a little bit of money, and it's definitely some time. So this is how you can keep your costs low when filing for your LLC. All of these extra things, and if you get asked for something additional, just check on it. You can comment below, and if I see your comments, I will make sure to reply to you. But you can check and see, is this necessary, or if it is something you would like, just see if you can pay less. For example, let's just say you wanted these things. These are extras, you don't need them, but maybe you want them for some reason. You can go and buy these separately for much cheaper than the filing services will sell them to you. So keep that in mind. I don't recommend filing services. What I've done is I've created guides for the LLC. One is I started with the Texas LLC guide, and I've advanced to an LLC guide for the rest of the states. And so what the Texas LLC guide does is it walks you step by step through filing your LLC in Texas. It's the Form 205. It's the initial filing document to put your LLC on file with the state. The LLC guide is for the other states, and what I've done there is I can't make a guide that's universal for all states, but what I did do is I took the most common questions where people get the most hung up on filing for their LLC, and I've just broken exactly what they're asking for down and made it very, very simple and easy to understand. So those are those two sites. For Texas, it's texasllcguide.com. For everyone else, it's thellcguide.com. But as you can see here, you can definitely limit your costs. Ideally, you want to get it down to, I think ideally, what I always recommend is that you have a registered agent, and then it's the registered agent, those costs, plus your state LLC filing costs. And then if you can get it down to there, you've done a good job keeping everything minimal. I pay for a registered agent, so I recommend that. I don't recommend you going to your home just to save $40 a year. I don't think it's worth it. And besides this, my guides are relatively low cost. They're much, much less than hiring a filing service. And once it's a one-time upfront cost. After that, there's no more cost. It's just the cost of the guide. I can guarantee you they're both $15 or less. And what they do is, if you do have trouble, what a lot of people do is they get intimidated by the language, or they're not sure what to do. And so they're looking for something that explains everything in a simple, plain English, regular person manner. And that's what I've done with these things, is just to make it easy for entrepreneurs to turn their business into a company, make everything step by step. It doesn't take long to get through them, but it'll help you understand what's going on and everything involved, as much as possible involved, and keep you from having to sift through all these different articles where they tell you a little bit, but they don't tell you enough, and then they point you back to where? The filing service. And so, as you can see here, the video is just to get you down to as lean as possible. Hopefully these two guides can help save you time, depending on whether you're in Texas or another state. But thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments, let me know below, and I will try to get to those as soon as possible. Thank you.